There's absolutely no benefit for us to overplay this. That's all I'd say for one. There's no benefit for us to say these numbers are going to be bigger. So instantaneously, this whole WTO rules, we'd have to apply tariffs. Now, these tariffs are extraordinary at times. So I currently buy all salads. Our salad import tariffs are 10 to 14%.
Yes.
Now, we reckon, and we're only 5% of the market, every percent of trade tariff will cost us about 10 to 15 million pounds. You times that by 20, you're looking at 200 to 300 million pounds, and that's just the tariffs. Now, you then got the impact of weakening forex. Now, last time, when after the vote, the forex exchange rate,
yes.
Tanked, absolutely tanked. And
yes, there's that famous picture of Farage pointing to it with an even more pathetic grin than usual on his face. You've seen that picture.
Yeah, and we took massive hits internally. We passed some on to customers, but we did absorb some. But there's no way we'd be able to absorb any more. Now, we reckon, again, for every 1% weakening, and bearing in mind it dropped, 18% last time, every 1% is going to affect our cost of goods by about 0.8%. So you're looking at, if it drops by 10%, again, you look at another 10% cost increase. You then got the issue on availability. Now, this is the shocker that we've found out recently. So, the headline that medicines will be put before food.
Just to clarify for people who possibly think that you're exaggerating, Matt Hancock, on the record, stated that we will, in the event of a no-deal Brexit, prioritise the transport of medicines over the transport of food. Once again, we are not at war, and there has not been a natural disaster. And economic sanctions have not been imposed upon us from the outside.
Now this is the biggest one. So we've basically been told the different levels depending on your importance. Now, we assumed fruit and veg would be number one. Yeah. Surely you'd assume that, but no, we're number 4. So
what's above you? What's 1, 2, and 3? Medicine.
So, medicines. Now, I haven't. All I know is medicines, but I haven't given the exact detail of them. Given us the number we are.
But we're priority number 4.
I think it might be something to do with cancer isotopes, but it's something along those lines.
Yes.
Now, so we're number 4 for fruit and veg. Now, this means we're going to be given 25% availability of our lorries to pass through Dover and other ports. 25%.
Yes.
So from what we have now, we'll have to quarter what we even take in from the EU. So that's the starting point. That's before we even get the gridlock of those 25%.
But, and you'll appreciate I'm now echoing what I've heard elsewhere, but there are lots of Central American and South American countries queuing up to send us their bananas.
We already get them from South America anyway, but the other one that really gets to me is nearly all of these countries have a deal with the EU, which gives us tariff-free fruit and veg. Everything that comes from Africa is on a anything but arms tariff.
ABA.
Which is basically...
This is probably the biggest thing that in the future, when we look back on this, the biggest thing that people either didn't know or were deliberately misled about is this ludicrous argument that is used largely by people who, let's just be polite about this and say, they haven't dedicated much of their life previously to expressing concern for poor Africans. But they claim, I want to leave the European Union because it discriminates against banana growers in Africa. If it's not arms, the poorest 50 countries on the planet can trade tariff-free with the European Union.
Exactly. So there'll be no tariff benefits there. And
it's a lie. It's a lie.
It's a lie. Getting fresh food from Spain is a lot easier than getting fresh food from South America. I mean,
why? Surely, if you just believe more, you can. This is the trade theory of gravity. That it's easier to do with the people that are near to you.
Which is entirely correct.
Which is why I had Rees Mogg on the line the other day, and he started talking about Australian beef, and you just sit there at that point, and you think, well, where do you go next? Australian beef? What? Yeah. Unbelievable.
Crazy. I mean, I get the non-EU stuff, but this is actually everything that comes through, because everything that comes through Dover is going to be impacted. It's not just 25% of the EU; it's everything is impacted coming in. So this thing like get more, that won't help us. We'll still only be allowed 25% of the freight to come through. So you're going to have massive availability shortages, and then you're going to have stuff rotting in lorries
because of the queues.
Because of the queues. So
which need to be there because of the checks, which need to be there because of the borders, which need to be there because of control.
So the cost of waste on fresh fruit and veg is going to be extraordinary. And then then it starts to snowball. The people who can afford it will bulk buy. and the people who can't won't have any food. I mean, that is the worst case scenario. But realistically, when you look at these numbers, you can't see how this isn't going to come to massive panic buying. And the
government's own contingency plans reflect almost everything that you've said. But, you know, I don't know, Project Fear or something, or we'll all eat fish.
That's the disappointing thing, is that the people in my sector have nothing to gain from saying this to the public. But you'd be getting hoodwinked, or politicians are saying with Project Fear. I don't even get it. Why would I want to scare people?
Yeah, what's in it for you? What's in it for John?
In it for me at all.
Well, clearly not.
You know, I'm not a politician.
What's in it for people invested in the pound tanking? Well, you know, we've got photographic evidence of how happy it makes them. I
mean, and the last point is, there's 2 points.
You're a good man, John. Thank you for this call. I appreciate it.
No problem. I mean, there's two things. One thing, the very worst time this could happen is March. The hunger period is April and May, going back to Victorian times. It's where the British stocks run out and the British harvest hasn't started. We import almost everything for these 2 months. It couldn't be worse timing. That's another thing people don't realise, because you have availability of lettuce and tomatoes all year round.
Yes.
But actually, those 2 months are terrible because, all our stocks of onions, potatoes, carrots, they run out. Or they can run out, certainly, if we have some of the things. But the British harvest in June, so you've got 2 months where we import everything, just when we're about to crash out.
Unbelievable.
And also, every single person who works on our farms is an EU labourer. So I go around the farms all the time. Every single person. There isn't a single British person working on farms.
just to keep the pedants out of my timeline. I'm sure there is. So if your nephew works on a British farm, don't send me text claiming that John's a liar. Let's just go with the overwhelming majority of staff on British farms.
Especially the real labourers. So not
the seasonal heavy lifting.
Correct, yeah. The ones chopping leeks in the field and picking the berries, they are, I won't give a percentage, but everyone, it's all EU labour.
Yeah.
Now, we had an issue last summer, and the issue's only going to creep up. This is the biggest one that I get from my spies, is if the EU labourers don't come over here, the summer British season is going to be, again, when we actually would have good availability of fruit and veg, we won't, because we won't have anyone to pick it. And people will always say, why don't you get British people to pick it? Yeah. Now, this is one of the things of where this is the minimum wage. What would you rather do? Would you rather work in hotel or restaurant in a warm climate, or would you rather chop leeks in the freezing cold for the same amount of money? You'll never get people. Very, very hard to get people to do those jobs.
Well, then the response will be, well, then you have to pay more. In which case, Correct. Of course, you're arguing for more expensive vegetables in your supermarket.
That's exactly it. So it just drive the price.
What do we want? More expensive vegetables. When do we want it?
Yeah,
now.
Exactly.
Yeah.